So our next speaker is Arne Strate. Arne is the Secretary General of the European Outdoor Group, and we've asked him to speak in a more positive tone about the fact that we may be leaving the EU, but we're not leaving Europe, and how we will continue to work with the EOG and some of the things that they do for us already. We work very closely with them, and so hopefully a little bit more of a positive tone with Arne. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you very much for the invitation as well. As Andrew already said, my name is Arne Strate, and I'll try to be very positive. Also, you might not have to sit through a full 20 minutes with me, so there might be less time between you and the next coffee break. I started to work for the European Outdoor Group, short EOG, in 2015. And as you have recognized by now, I'm not a native speaker. I'm also not even from the UK. I came to the UK in 2015 for this work contract with the European Outdoor Group. Although our team is now spread internationally all across Europe, in 2015 it was mandatory to move to the UK. So that's a good thing, and looking at the program you can also see that the heather grey sweatshirt comes as a standard. When I moved to the UK in 2015, the Lake District, Kendal, where we have our offices, wasn't really something that I had on the map, not even on the radar. I had no idea what the Lake District was. I had never lived in the UK before, and it was merely a setting for romantic novels that my mom would read. Nonetheless, it has always been an absolute pleasure to be here and to work with all the people here. I have met and had the pleasure to work with some of the most extraordinary people in the European outdoor trade that I've come across so far. And I was directly from the beginning welcomed without hesitation by both my team at the EOG and also by my colleagues in the wider outdoor trade here in the UK. So before I go on, I just want to say thank you very much, UK. It has been a pleasure and a very warm welcome to me. So, despite my accent, that is, it has always been very, very nice to be working here, and I've never regretted it once. Now, we've touched upon it already. There's going to be change. Unfortunately, most of this change, should it happen, is going to be on the shoulders of businesses on both sides of the British Channel. I think that's really the part where I cannot tell you too much about the details because we're not as much involved as you guys are, and also we're not impacted as much as you guys are. But that's also not what I'm going to talk about today. The details you will learn from much, much smarter people than myself here over the course of the day. And I still have a hope that we got here today without any reason, because people will get to their senses on both sides, come to their senses on both sides of the channel. And although the European Outdoor Group is not a political body, I will say this. It's not fair to put these extra burdens on businesses on both sides. Now, the market that we're all working in is changing, and it is probably going to be changing even quicker in the future with the situation at hand. As I said, most of the change, unfortunately, is on your shoulders and the businesses that import into the UK. But also the EOG won't be not affected by these changes. As you might know, some of the work that we do is with the European Commission in Brussels. And the reimbursement that we get for our work, for example, on projects around recycling of polyester fiber, end of life of product, microfiber issues and all these things, the reimbursement that we get from the European Commission, all this whole setup is only possible through our offices in the UK right now as part of the European Union. Because as you also might know, the EOG is an association registered in Switzerland. However, what I need to point out at this time is the changes that are going to be there for the European Outdoor Group might include yet another office somewhere on the continent so that we can continue our work with the European Commission. However, my whole team and the offices in Kendal will not be affected by that. It is just an add-on. We're going to remain in the UK with our office. The staff is going to remain. I might split up my time 50-50 between the UK and the rest of Europe. But that brings me to the next point, and that is what's not going to change. All the work that the EOG does for the sector will remain exactly as it is today. Our doors are open for every outdoor business doing business in Europe. We will continue to deliver for you, and we will, of course, continue to work with you on the overarching challenges that the outdoor trade in Europe is facing. Again, as a Swiss entity, we've never really been part of the European Union. So right now, our foot in the European Union is our office in Kendal, which is a little bit ironic, but we will keep that and make amendments as needed in order to be able to continue working with the European Commission. Now, some of the work that we do, for example, the state of trade, European market analysis that we do for you and with feedback from you, of course, this is going to be exactly the same. Nothing's going to change regarding our services to you. We'll continue to create meaningful projects with you and work on them on behalf of you, like the single-use plastic project to get rid of single-use plastic in the supply chain or exchange it for a closed recycling loop to make sure that plastic doesn't end up in the natural environment or the landfill. We'll have things that are really overarching, and I see maybe the Microfiber Consortium is there to give us data on microfiber. What is microfiber? What are microfibers? How can we get rid of them? How can we prevent them from being released in the environment? We have things like the retail barometer, which is our next step in measuring the European outdoor market. It's about sell-through at point of sale, and it's making good progress. Just another one of these projects that we're working on for the trade, and where nothing is going to change at all. And as I said earlier, the changes they might be annoying or they might even be detrimental to the businesses on both sides. But what I was just showing you, these projects and surveys that we're working on, that was not really meant to show you what we do. It was more to show you what we can do, because they are all based on one thing, one very fundamental thing, and that is pre-competitive cooperation inside of the trade. And that is luckily not going to be affected by any Brexit or any changes in the way that we work across Europe. There's still going to be trade. We're going to need each other on both sides of the channel, both for the brands doing business in the UK and for the UK businesses doing business all over Europe. And why I'm confident this is going to continue to be very fruitful for everybody involved is that the fact that the outdoor sector is, unlike many other sectors that I've seen before, the outdoor sector has this ability to work together, to stay agile, to work around these issues. And while they might be really annoying, as I said earlier, I think the trade as a whole will pull through. And I think that we will still be able to prosper in the future. And of course, the EOG is here for you. We will help wherever we can with challenges arising. And if you want to speak to me during the day, please do so. I will be here all day. And I wish you a great rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Just before we break for coffee, any questions specifically for Arne? We're here for coffee as well. So he's in Kendal. We do see each other a lot at all the shows. We sit together on lots of different committees. So we've got a really strong relationship. We're at the moment working directly with our sustainability team, Kate and Jane, and putting together a green guide for the uplands and a sustainability plan for small businesses, which we'll be releasing in March to work with you guys to try and help overcome some of the issues and challenges and make sure we're all making as much of a positive difference as we can. So next year's a big sustainability year for us, so we'll be working really closely with them. So almost regardless what happens, we will soldier through, and I hope we will continue. It's good to see in the audience David, who represents ISPO and Outdoor by ISPO as well, another very strong partner for the EOG. So we'll still have shows there, we'll still do things there. There will be life after Brexit. Right, we're going to, oh, Richard, quick question.
Richard from LifeMark. Richard from LifeMark. My question to you is, with all businesses trying to work out how to sell into Europe in a more efficient way, how are the European companies preparing to come into the UK? Because obviously everything's changed for them as well. In your opinion, do you think they've done enough to sell to the UK?
Well, I think one thing that's not going to happen as much in the future is probably the single parcel sale. So people will, I think, need to set up warehouses in the respective country that they wish to sell into. And then, again, I don't know all the details here, but I think we will see less of the daily traffic of single parcels going across, and it's probably going to be more bulk just because of the paperwork involved.
It's obviously on our wavelength every single day. Are European outdoor companies, is it on their agenda every day as well, or is it kind of, let's forget about it?
No, it's absolutely not. Absolutely the opposite, actually. Because as we know, the UK is, I mean, depending on if you ask the French, it's maybe the third biggest market, but if you look at reality, then it's the second biggest market in Europe for outdoor companies. So they will be well advised not to take this lightly and we'll get by without them. That's not going to work. Geographically, we're going to be Europe anyways, no matter what happens. So I think the UK is not going to set sail anytime soon and go somewhere else. So from a geography, we're bound. And these companies are looking right now into setting up warehouses in the UK because of the difficulties with that single parcel transport system. So they will be setting up warehouses and do everything at bulk and then just trade inside of the UK as a UK company, because there's absolutely no way around the UK for any outdoor business in Europe.
Great, right. We're going to break now for a coffee. So if you wander out there, guys, do talk to Mark before he goes, talk to each other, and then come back in here in about 20 minutes. So we'll give you a shout.